Hi everyone, it's Nick with Build Up Advisory Group and it's Fast Build Fridays, a web series where we will quickly build what you know about infrastructure design in the nonprofit sector. Today's Fast Build topic is the infrastructure trends to watch in 2021. In last week's Fast Build Friday, we talked about some of the infrastructure trends we said you should watch in 2020. And today, I wanted to focus on the upcoming trends for the year. What are the infrastructure trends that we think people should be paying attention to, and just how will they impact the sector? We came up with a few of these trends, and there are two in particular that I want to talk about in a bit more detail. I'll highlight the first of these two 2021 trends now. The first trend that I think we should be paying attention, and I mean really close attention to, is due diligence for funding awards. Now, you might be saying to yourself, due diligence? Why would it matter what documents, materials, and information are being requested as part of a funding award? How could that possibly be an infrastructure trend? I think this particular trend is going to be critical, particularly this year. I'll tell you why. We've been talking a lot in the sector about general support, different types of flexible and unrestricted support, and we also had a real push to focus on how to include non-traditional social impact vehicles that are pursuing social and racial justice and socioeconomic change within marginalized communities and asking them to come as they are. We also sort of started talking about risk, but definitely not sector-wide. All of these considerations, type of funding award, sustainable change, grantee leadership, and risk intersect at diligence. So for example, even when you think, I'm enlightened, and as a result, I'm going to start providing general support awards to grantees, you may end up asking for over-the-top, administratively burdensome, and perhaps bordering on ridiculous requests under the guise of getting to know your grantees as partners and building trust, or responding to your rigorous organizational risk management protocols. And ultimately, you're significantly increasing the amount of work, diligence, and monitoring, and necessarily so, I might add, for each grantee partner, all with good intention. So the thing I want people to know is that the focus this year should not be solely on whether general support awards have increased. I do want us to track and pay attention to that, but we shouldn't only watch that metric and ignore the underlying diligence being requested and required by funders and the trends that are happening within that space. If we do, we can end up providing awards that are intended to be flexible, but are so tied down with diligence requirements pre, during, and post-funding award that we hinder how that grant could have been envisioned and used by the grantee. I think we're going to see a real shift within the diligence space, and we might even see it vary significantly by field, recipient, region, and funder. And it makes me curious about what the common underlying theme will be within diligence, regardless of the kind of funding that's awarded. We need to pay attention to this trend to make sure that we're not inadvertently excluding the leaders of the vulnerable and marginalized communities that we want to, or at least say that we want to, include. And that's our Fast Build. On our next Fast Build Friday, we'll continue the conversation about 2021 infrastructure trends with a second infrastructure trend that we'll do a deeper dive on. I want to hear how you are thinking about 2021 infrastructure trends. I would love to hear from you and about your experience in the comments below. And if you're finding these Fast Build Fridays helpful or informative, I would love it if you would like this video and hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful weekend, and keep building bravely.